best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine?
You think you've seen the sun, but you ain't seen it shine.
Hello everyone, welcome once again to Ask the Treksperts. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Sarah.
Today we're doing our multi-topic extravaganza. We got several questions from you folks last episode, and we're going to jump right into it. So we got several questions for our multi-topic extravaganza. Here's the first one. This one comes from Red Robin 696. How would you have killed off Kirk if Generations never happened, and how would you kill off Picard? A lot of two-part questions in this, by the way.
I know, they get confusing.
Yeah, anyway, so we'll answer this one at a time.
Too many words.
So,
okay.
Sarah,
so how would I kill
how would you kill? First of all, let me ask you: are you with the majority of fans who say that the Kirk death in Generations is very lame? Because I think that that's what he's hinting at here.
Yes, I think that is an assumption that one could make.
Okay, all right.
Yes. Yeah, falling off of a bridge with the bridge falling on top of you, kind of dumb.
So how would you have done it?
I actually think the way they killed him the first time was just fine.
I agree with that.
I think maybe you could have a movie before that happened and put that at the end, and it'd be better. But, yeah, kill him off in space, saving the ship. I mean, that's the kind of death Kirk needs.
That's what's so weird about that too, is that he had a heroic death.
Yeah.
And then it was a cop out because he was sucked into the Nexus.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, may I just insert really quick that never made any sense to me, that he even was able to get into the Nexus.
Yeah. Well,
since anybody else has to stand on a planet to anyway, whatever.
No, it's not that you have to stand on a planet because Guinan got into the Nexus, and all the Elorians on the ship got into the Nexus.
But you can't fly into it with a ship. But apparently, you can get sucked out of a ship and then get. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you though. I would have done it. I would have done it that way. And the other thing is, the only thing I like about Star Trek V is Kirk's talk about how he's going to die. And when he climbs El Capitan at the beginning of that movie, and Spock saves him just in the nick of time with the rocket boots. He says, I knew I wouldn't die, and I'm not saying I like that scene, I'm saying I like this idea. Kirk says, I've always known I would die alone. It's a very Kirk thing. I really, really like that idea.
Yeah.
And he says, I knew I wouldn't die because you were with me. And at the beginning of Generations, when he gets killed, when he gets killed, but actually second to the next, he's alone.
No.
That worked, but then he's with Picard at the end and he dies. I don't like that. I want him to die alone.
Now, the one thing, as kooky as it is in Generations, Kirk getting sucked into the Nexus, I actually kind of like that idea. Because, okay, Kirk dies this heroic death, according to everybody on the ship, and then he gets to live forever. That's kind of cool. You know?
Yeah, as long as he actually lives forever.
Well, he would.
If he wasn't in... No, but I mean, then he gets pulled out and dies. I'm saying if he actually got to live forever.
Picard hadn't come along.
But that's my point, is that, like, what if we had him get sucked into the Nexus, and we didn't see the whole movie, and at the very end, we just saw him, like, hanging out in the Nexus, and the movie was over.
Making eggs.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Kind of. Anyway, okay, how would you kill off Picard?
I would have him die of old age.
Me too. Honestly,
I'd say
Picard doesn't seem like
make him an admiral, have him die behind a desk somewhere.
Well, he's already kind of older when he starts. I mean, he's different than Kirk. Like, he doesn't need the giant heroic death.
Yeah, he didn't need all the action hero stuff in the movies. He's the philosopher. He's the diplomat. He's the guy who with the big ideas.
That's what I think.
You know, yeah.
Okay, sorry, we took a little long on that, but that was a fun question. Thanks a lot, Red Robin. Goku48071 asks, have you played Star Trek Online? And yes, how did you like it? We haven't played it.
No.
We haven't played it. I've been wanting
fun.
to, I just haven't gotten a chance.
Yeah.
I've heard a rumor that later in the year they're going to make the monthly fees go away, and if that happens, I'm going to play it. I'm not an MMO guy. I'm not a giant video game guy, so I'm not going to pay money monthly to play a video game because I know I'll fall off of it. Like, that's just my thing. So,
and see, it sounds like the kind of game that's totally up my alley, but I have no time at all to play games like that.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I said that was rumor. I guess he's the guy that I found that out from because he says in this, and later this year it'll be free to play. You know, I'll buy it then. If it goes free to play monthly, I will purchase a copy and I will play it. Saberoff asks, I've seen some episodes of TNG, but at the time I wasn't really interested in it. However, lately I've become very interested in the idea of watching the show from the beginning, and perhaps even the animated series. My question is, what series and what episodes should I watch when getting into Trek? We'll answer this quickly, although we did a video.
First season.
Don't start with TAS. But with the animated series. But we did. Let me just mention, we did do a video about this. We did like a 20-minute video of episode ideas from each of us that you should. So go back and watch that video.
Yes.
I forget exactly what it was called. It was like. It was like suggestions for getting into. I don't remember what it's called. You can find it. We have a playlist for Treksperts.
Watch Best of Both Worlds.
Yeah. But anyway, I always say don't start with movies. Start with good episodes.
Yeah.
And yeah. Best of Both Worlds is really good. Pretty much season 3. I honestly think you could kind of just start with season 3.
Yeah.
And
then just.
If you wanted to watch it in order,
yeah.
Season 3, and then maybe. If you're warming up to 3, okay, go back and watch 2 because there's some great stuff in 2. It's just that 2 is still kind of getting its footing. You know what I mean? 2 is like what first season ought to have been. It's getting its footing, but it's not hard to watch.
Yeah.
Really, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, there are some good episodes of 2.
I also always say start with TNG. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Unless you're the kind of person that that is too into. Like ongoing stories where like every episode has to in that case just watch DS9. But you know if you're already okay with the episodic format, start with TNG. Unless you're already a huge fan of 60 television, in which case watch TOS. Okay. Matt Master 34 says Neelix, like or dislike?
Ooh.
I'm not a big Neelix fan personally.
Dislike.
Yeah, me too. And we've had people ask us this before, and we've meant to do a show on this. Maybe at some point we'll do a whole because some folks maybe so, or at least on characters we find irritating and why. Why don't we like Neelix?
Because he's irritating. And here's why.
I'm sorry.
Okay, if he were your roommate, could you put up with that for that long? I mean, he's always cooking weird things and shoving it in your face, bringing up holidays that you're not interested in, trying to find that weird thing in your past and then bringing it up in front of everybody.
Yeah, he embarrasses people on purpose.
Yeah.
And a lot of times he has good intentions, but I feel like he goes about it in exactly the way he knows that the person he's talking to won't like. I'm sorry, but that's not how the morale officer should act. Like,
no.
he is morale. I also don't think that a ship should have a morale officer, but whatever. But I mean, he's the morale officer, and he seems to think that whatever he would like is what everybody would like.
Yeah.
He's that annoying uncle who buys you the Christmas present that he would play with. He's that guy.
Yeah. I mean, and then his relationship with Kes is just kind of creepy. Mm-hmm. I mean... Yeah,
and he's super needy.
Yeah.
And he just
needs her attention all the time and won't let her talk to anybody. I mean... She's 2 years old. She hasn't even lived her life. I mean, I think there are other guys that she could experiment with.
Yeah, we could go on, but that's the thing with Neil. Now, may I also say though that I do like Ethan Phillips a lot. I don't think the Neelix problem was Ethan Phillips.
He's good when he's not Neelix. Yeah.
I mean, like, I've met him. He's an awesome guy. He's really fun. I really like Ethan Phillips. And I also like what SF Debris said, and of course SF Debris hates Neelix and does the stupid Neelix moment, and so that's why I bring him up. I do like what he said in his review for Broken Bow, when he said Phlox seems to be what Neelix was supposed to be. I like that a lot, because Phlox has some of the same personality quirks, but he's not obnoxious.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I love Phlox.
And he doesn't get nearly as many people killed as Neelix does.
Well, there's that too, right. Okay, this one's kind of long. Rocket Dave says, I know you guys said you were only concerned with canon, but I'm a little curious if you have any opinions on how Star Trek novels are now continuing the lives of these characters past the point when we last saw them on screen. When I pick up a Star Trek book now, besides feeling about 20 seasons behind, I can't help thinking some future movie or show could come along and contradict the events in the book, rendering the reading experience somewhat pointless.
Well, see, I don't think it would render the reading experience pointless.
I don't think so either.
At all.
Because books have never been considered canon.
Yeah.
By the majority of fans or by Paramount.
Yeah, just pretend you're reading an alternate universe and you're good.
Absolutely. And in fact, the book continuities, and I say continuities because different sets of them, even by different writers, but different sets of them seem to be continuous within each other. And so, like, when you figure out how that works, yeah, sometimes they'll even conflict certain parts of canon because the canon came later.
Yeah.
And then they just ignore that because they're continuing.
Yeah, and I've read it.
It's confusing, but you can figure it out.
I haven't read too many books, but the ones I've read, I've read some where they were written after second season TNG. And so stuff that came later completely contradicted what they were doing in that. But it wasn't a problem. It was still, the books I've read have been really good.
Some of them I have a tough time, although here's an example of one I had a tough time with. I can't remember the name of it right now. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. There is a TNG book, I'm racking my brain, I just can't remember what it's called. I think it has the word mirror in it, but is it Dark Mirror? I forget. There's a next gen novel about next generation of the Mirror universe, and I'm like, yay, that sounds like fun because we never had that. Unfortunately, it was written before the DS9 Mirror stuff, and so it does the Mirror universe totally differently than they did, and yet it's set around the same time as that would have been.
I bet that'd be interesting though.
It was, but it was a little bit boring. I found myself thinking, ooh, if only this had been written after the DS9 stuff, this would have been a lot more interesting. And unfortunately, they kind of went too far in the TOS direction. If that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah.
But anyway,
makes a lot of sense.
I understand what he's saying though, because now there is so much. He's talking about books that are being written now, where there's so much continuity behind them, and then these books, without any continuity happening now, these books are just kind of continuing on their own stuff, and it's easy to get lost. Yeah, it really is. So, no, those are valid concerns. I just don't have a huge opinion because I don't read them.
Yeah.
And I don't have anything against them. I just don't have time. That's part of what it is like other things. I just don't have a lot of time to devote to it. And let me also say, I run a Star Trek club, and all the trivia we do is canonical stuff. And I discovered when I was getting a little bit more heavy into book reading, that I was starting to get lost in it, where I couldn't remember what was canon and where I'd be like, wait, did I read that in a book, or did I get that from a show? It's impossible to read to write trivia. I mean, I've written thousands and thousands of trivia questions. It's really difficult to keep that up and read books, because then I forget. So that's a lot of why I don't, is just for practical stuff, because this isn't just this isn't just something that I do for fun. I also run a club, so there you go. Did you kind of have that when you were doing it too? A
little bit, but I didn't read even as many books as you did. So.
Waffles with 2 Z's. I like that. Waffles says, what episodes / movies are good examples of the McCoy-Spock-Kirk relationship? And how would you improve Enterprise? That's a great two-part question.
Let's see, Star Trek V, right? No.
Is how we would improve Enterprise? Make it more like Star Trek V? No.
That was a good example of Kirk Spock.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
No.
Okay, well, that's a good question. What's good?
I'm going to say my favorite is Tholian Web. For the Triad. And I say Tholian Web because it's the episode where you get the best idea of how different these 3 men are, and also why they're such good friends. Ultimately,
well, that's the one where Kirk's
without Kirk even being in the room, because Kirk has gotten stuck out of phase on the other ship, on the Defiant, and they think he's dead. And if he's not dead, he is nearly dead. And so they have to review, McCoy and Spock have to review the tape he made in case he ever got killed. And so they're about to watch this tape, but they're arguing about how Spock should be handling this mission. And I won't go into details, but McCoy doesn't like how he's running things, and Spock thinks that it's just fine, and they get into arguments and stuff. And then Kirk kind of shows up and mediates this without even being there with his tape. And you just get again, I'm not going to go into it. If you've never seen Tholian Web, you need to watch Tholian Web. And also,
it's awesome. And
also, let me say that part of the reason that's so cool is because 3rd season is filled with duds, and then you got this golden episode.
Yeah.
Enterprise Incident is like that too, where it's like, how was that episode made on the budget it was made on?
I like 3rd season. Not as much as the first 2, but it's still good.
But anyway, that's my example.
Yeah.
Being somewhat vague because I want you to watch it.
I'm going to go with your example because I can't think of a better one.
You can't think of a better one? Okay.
Well, I've been watching a lot of TOS lately, but I just don't pay attention so much to which ones have the particular scenes with the...
Let me throw another one up there, too. I'm sorry, suddenly I can't think... Oh, This Side of Paradise.
Now, which Paradise one is that?
It's the one with the spores.
Oh, that, okay.
Yeah, Paradise Syndrome is the one with Miramani.
I get those two confused.
But anyway, This Side of Paradise, is interesting because, I mean, it doesn't have a whole lot of the three of them together so much, but it's about each of them separately, and then it's got that great moment where Kirk has to bring Spock back to logic by beating the crap out of him.
Yeah.
And that stuff's great, and then you get to, I don't know, I think it's some of the best character building for those characters, because you get to see McCoy as the country doctor.
Yeah.
He even breaks into an accent. You know.
Yeah.
So, anyway, those are mine. And then probably movie for the triad would be 2.
Well,
Wrath of God, naturally.
Yeah.
It's about these 3 men aging. It's more about Kirk than it is about anybody, but it still definitely has that dynamic. So, anyway. And then, how would we improve Enterprise? Go.
I think that's a 30-minute discussion, because there's that much.
You want to do a show on it?
Yeah, let's just do a show on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say one thing.
How to improve Enterprise.
Just to be nice and answer the man's question.
Okay.
Assuming you're a man. I'm sorry if you're not. I can't believe
Written by somebody other than Brandon Braga.
That's good. That's
Because
good.
those two were tired of it, and they were making more Voyager, and more Voyager was just more TNG.
So start the series with Kodo.
Yes.
You know?
That would have been a plus.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because 3 and 4 are okay, and that's
Yeah.
all. That's Manny Kodo running it.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. I would have said no Klingons.
Yeah.
Just no Klingons.
Yeah.
Start with Andorians. Don't start with Klingons. I mean, because the Andorians are great. That was the one thing they did beautifully in that show, or one of the things they did beautifully in that show. And so no Klingons. Just try to remember timeline and say, hey, we haven't met those people yet, and
I think
go more in depth with some of the species that we have met.
Stories would have been a lot better if they'd actually stuck more with canon and took less and had taken less creative license.
I think so too. Cool Vids 101. What is the weirdest thing Star Trek has done a crossover with? I'm going to say, and I think he means extra canon crossover. I'm going to say Ninja Turtles. There was this really silly line in the 90s of Ninja Turtle. Go Google it; it's hilarious. Of the 4 Ninja Turtles as Star Trek characters. It's like Donatello was Spock, I think, and it was goofy.
It was really funny.
Go look at that.
And I'll say X-Men. Because I read the comic and I read the novel.
It was good though.
It was awesome, but it was out there. You'd have to admit it was out there.
That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, okay, Professor X and Picard.
I couldn't deal with that. Of course, keep in mind this was before the X-Men films.
I know,
but
still.
I'm reading that novel and Professor X and Picard have dialogue together, and I'm like, they're the same person in my head, like the same voice. But anyway, it wasn't jiving with me. Divid22 says, sorry, one second. Did we as viewers actually learn anything about the Federation, given we almost spent no time on Earth? That's interesting. That's interesting because there's a criticism in his question. I think it seems to me like he is criticizing the fact that Trek didn't spend a lot of time on Earth.
Well, see, I disliked most of the episodes that we spent on Earth, so I'm really glad we didn't spend very much time on Earth. Star Trek's about exploration, going places. That's why it's a trek. You can't trek very much if you're on the planet.
I agree with that. Except that DS9 proved us wrong on that.
Well, that's true.
But
at least they were in deep space, so they still, met up with a bunch of anomalies, the wormhole.
But the word Trek was still in the title, and there was no trekking going on, and it was still a good show, and it didn't matter.
That's true.
I don't want to be obnoxious about titles because I'm very prone to do this. Well, it says Trek. That was my thing with the new Star Trek movie. Was it's called Star Trek, and they stay in our solar system. Drove me nuts. But I'm of two minds about this. I don't think that we should have spent a lot of time on Earth in the shows that we got. However, there was a lot of talk about maybe doing a Starfleet Academy show, and it could have worked. For the same reason DS9 worked, and it would have been set on Earth. I also think we would have had to maybe not have Star Trek in the title, but they tried that with Enterprise and it didn't work. But anyway, I'm just saying that
would they really? I mean, for me, Star Trek is about the new cool stuff, meeting new species or finding anomalies or.
But it doesn't have to be because it wasn't in DS9.
But they still did that stuff,
and
that was with politics.
But DS9 was political, and
politics worked, and they still did some of the extra space stuff, which was cool.
Well, you got to be careful that Starfleet Academy isn't too much of a high school type show.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's true.
That's all it would be.
It wouldn't have to be though.
They wouldn't really have the politics.
Yeah,
and they certainly wouldn't have the anomalies.
But my point is you have to look at the fact that we had an episode about Starfleet Academy that was super, super good.
Yeah, but what else would you do with it? That was just about, telling the truth.
Yeah, true. But I still think that a show could be patterned off of that. Yeah. Potentially. I don't know. I'm not saying that it's the only way to go for a new show. And we'll get to that in a second.
But I would say...
But to answer his question...
I would say that...
I thought
we learned a lot about the Federation
Yeah.
through the members of the Federation, and especially the flagship, and how the the crew of the flagship, the captain of the flagship, actually interacted with other species.
And if nothing else, we had enough admirals from Earth talking to our captains
Yeah.
that we got what the Federation was supposed to be. And I also think that we got enough that you can make your own mind up about the Federation and about what you think of them as the peacekeeping operation they were trying to be. You know what I mean?
We certainly get a different view of the Federation in the original series versus, say, Deep Space
DS9, yeah. Well, because you have a lot of species from late TNG into DS9 that are talking about Federation dogma and stuff like that, and then we get the sense from TOS and through most of TNG that we're supposed to love the Federation and everything they do. So it's interesting. If you watch all of Trek, you do get to make up your own mind about it. Hintrips 1, who is your favorite Doctor and a particular episode or scene that showcases why?
Ooh, favorite Doctor. I can say my least favorite Doctor.
Yeah?
Crusher.
Really, yeah.
I like Crusher.
I'm going with McCoy. I can't...
Yeah.
I can't get past McCoy. I mean, not to say that there weren't other good Trek Doctors, but, like, he was the original and they never beat him, you know?
No, the Doctor from Voyager may have come close.
Yeah.
And there are certainly times when I really like Bashir.
I mean, I just like McCoy because of how extremely down-to-earth he is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
McCoy's always good.
Yeah.
I mean, name an episode that you just didn't like McCoy.
Yeah, always.
I mean, yeah.
And for a good McCoy episode, I'm going for Mantrap, and that was his first episode, really.
Yeah.
Was that actually his first episode? I know it was the first one they aired. Was it the first one he appeared in?
That I'm not sure.
I'm actually not sure of that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know exactly in production order where it came. I know it wasn't more than 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Or 4 or 5. And you know, Where No Man Has Gone Before, he's not in.
Yeah.
I need to look that up. I don't know.
I like.
But anyway.
I like in Spock's brain, where.
Really?
Yeah.
You're gonna cite Spock's brain for a good McCoy episode?
Well, I like how he gets super smart, and then he's fixing Spock's brain, and then he's starting to forget, and they have to help him through it.
Alright, on that note, you want to move
like
on?
Spock's brain.
You want to move on?
Yes.
Alright. Favorite non-captain character? Magpie2541.
Non-captain character. Ooh.
Favorite character who's not a captain?
Riker.
I'm going with 709.
I figured for you.
I just love 709.
Yeah.
I can't help myself.
Wait. Riker for TNG, Garrick for DS9.
Ooh, that's good.
Because I love Garrick.
That's good. My problem is that my favorite characters are captains.
Yeah.
You know? But I love 709. I don't love everything about the Borg and Voyager, but she had a really interesting arc, and we've talked about this. I think it could have gone in more interesting places, but she made that show work in 4th season.
Yeah.
I was ready to quit, you know?
Well, I liked her better than Cass, but don't want to cause any arguments.
Game creator JJ says worst, least favorite alien race, and cheesiest and worst costume. That's great.
Oh.
That's great.
How about
All right,
the
worst
costumes?
alien race. No, do it in order.
Worst,
Do it in order.
Okay.
Worst alien race.
Worst alien race. Whew.
I got it. I got mine.
Okay.
Can we do mine first?
Yeah, you do yours first.
Kazon.
Kazon.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't get worse than the Kazon. The Oompa Loompas in space that are Klingon knockoffs and have nothing interesting about them whatsoever. I can't stand the Kazon. They went one season too long.
Yeah. Okay. There are a lot of species.
No.
Yeah.
You would know. You have most of them memorized.
Yeah. How about the Edo?
Refresh my memory.
Wesley Crusher steps on the grass.
Is that them?
Yes.
Can't believe you remember. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Worst costumes.
Same. Do you remember what those guys wore?
Yeah, because they didn't wear anything.
No.
No,
They wore white, skimpy...
It was embarrassing, actually, yeah. I'm going with the Yulians.
The snowflake
The
people?
snowflake people.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're wearing... Those are the telepaths from what is the name of that episode? It's
Violations.
Yeah. And their suits are all ripped up. They're white and they're ripped up, and they look like they're wearing snowflakes that you cut out in kindergarten class.
Yeah.
Ooh. Not to mention that wasn't that great a race either. Death Target. What would you like to see as a new Trek show? Well, I mentioned the Starfleet Academy thing, which is funny because that was never one I really wanted to see. I'm just saying I think it could work. I think it could work if the right people were writing it. I've always said this. I'm just going to say the thing that I always say. Animated Klingons. That's me.
I know.
I want an animated Klingon series done in the style of Batman TAS, and I'm never backing down on that. I think it'd be great, and I want at least 3 or 4 episodes that are completely in well-spoken Klingon with English subtitles.
Yeah, see, that'd be awesome. I'm not sure that would ever work, but...
It would.
But it'd be awesome.
It would. If it was on HBO,
I'd go for it. I'd go for it. I'd like to see a show that took place between TOS and TNG.
Really?
Yeah.
So movie costumes. Well, it would have to be.
It would have to be, I suppose, but yeah.
But see, there was talk about that with Excelsior.
Yeah.
You know, with the Sulu show.
Yeah.
Now, would that have been okay with you, or would you want something different?
I would have wanted something different.
Okay.
Like maybe after Excelsior, but still before TNG. You know.
What about Kelsey Grammer on the Bozeman?
That would have been cool.
That would have worked.
And then the series ends with him getting stuck in a time loop.
In a time loop. That's, you know it's gonna you know how it ends.
Yeah.
And then the last season builds up to how he gets stuck in the time loop.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's
I've never thought of that's great. That does not beat my Klingon idea, but it's really good. What do you think of the reboot movie, Batman Kicks Ass? Well, we've talked about that. We did a 2-part video on it when we first started the show. I'm going to say that my opinion on that film has laxed maybe a little bit. I think I like it slightly more now than I did when I reviewed it, or when we reviewed it back then, but I don't know.
Yeah, and
you
for me...
just throw something out really fast?
I like the movie. I'm not sure it's completely Star Trek, but then I like my Star Trek to be more science fiction than just action.
Or because we got dogged on that for a little bit, saying that, because we have people say, well, Trek's not as science fiction in the first place as it could be. Whatever, I'm not going to complain about that. I'm not going to argue about that. I will say I would like a Star Trek that's slightly more cerebral than that. And the people who argue with me, well, the TNG movies weren't cerebral. To that I say, you're right, sir. And that is, and I'm not talking movies.
Hence, I'm not a big fan of the movies.
Exactly, I'm not talking movies when I say that. Yeah, Lego Geek 400671 says, how or when will you introduce Jason to Star Trek and how will you do it? Jason actually watches Star Trek all the time.
I wish I knew this question was coming up. I should have gotten his baby book.
Oh,
because we actually wrote down the first time he watched.
He was like a month old or something?
Yeah, he was really little.
Well, there's no way around it, because we have to take him with us when we do Trek Club and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he actually really enjoys watching Trek. Of course, he's a year and a half and has no idea what he's looking at, but he likes to watch the ships fly across the screen.
Yeah.
And no, we're already kind of doing that. So as far as how will we really introduce it to him when he's old enough to know what's going on? I don't know. Probably TNG. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I think he'll just grow up with an awareness of it. We'll just put in an episode, and he'll be like, "Ooh, cool, Star Trek." So.
If they made a new Trek series, well, lots of people want to know about doing a new series. Would you want it to be in the new timeline or older one, like after DS9? I used to say I'd love to see a series set in new continuity, actually. And those actors have gotten too popular now, a lot of them, and that would never happen. So I wouldn't want some bogus other shit at the same time.
Yeah.
No. If they had immediately after the last movie, this is time sensitive. If they had immediately taken that crew, put them on TV, I would have really enjoyed that. And I always said I'd love to see them do some original series stories in the new continuity. They're not doing that in the new IDW Trek series and comics, which is really exciting. So that'll never happen. And that's not the reason. It just would never happen. So no, I don't think new continuity. I think definitely 25th century.
Well, I've spent enough hours watching old continuity that's my preference. I mean, the new continuity is fine. I wouldn't have minded seeing more in that continuity, but
the point is, they're trying. they think that they're able to cover new ground by not being tied down by continuity. I still say that you can do fresh new stuff, keeping continuity in mind.
Yeah.
So I would be fine seeing new stuff in original Prime continuity. The Real Avatar Blue says, do you like the animated series? And do you think a new animated series would work? Yes, it needs to have Klingons in it!
But you're not a big fan of the animated series.
I'm not.
And I am. I haven't seen enough episodes of it. I've seen maybe 6, 7 or so. But I do like them.
I have three big complaints about the animated series, and these are obvious things, but I'll throw them out really quick. The first is there's just not enough actual animation in it. There's too much. There's too much just frames of people sitting there looking at things. There's too much reused frames. It's glaring. It just gets in the way for me. I don't know. It's hard to take seriously, and I think it wants to be taken seriously. So that's an issue with me. They weren't able to spend enough money on it. So there's that. The second thing is that 2 women voice every woman in the show, and that's distracting for me as well. It's Majel Barrett, and it's Nichelle Nichols, and it's just. Those 2 women have very distinctive voices. You always know it's them, and it gets on my nerves. And the other thing is there are a lot of storylines made from scripts from what would have been TOS Season 4. You know, scripts that had been written for Star Trek that were never made, and they could have been great, and then they got condensed in 25 minutes.
Yeah. Well,
so,
I mean, better that than never being aired at all. Or
maybe so. Maybe so. I think some of those scripts have actually been released now.
That's cool.
Where like you got to see the full ones and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
that'd be
that's
interesting.
right, but I think I heard that somewhere.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my stuff.
I'm able to look past the campiness, and I take it for, as silly as it is.
You
I
have to
enjoy
watch
that.
it as a kid's show, I think, is how you have to do it.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
That kind of stuff just never bothered me that much. So.
All right. Well, one more question here. I know we've been going kind of long, but we've only got one more, so here we go. Can IDW save Star Trek? No. I don't think so. I mean, first of all, does Star Trek need saving? I'm not sure what David 22 means by that. Save Star. If you mean save Star Trek in the comics, I don't know. I think they're okay. I think IDW's Trek stuff's been selling pretty well. I think they've had some good stuff. I think Countdown was amazing. So I think they're on the right track in trying to do some new continuity stuff because those have been their best comics. Regardless of how I feel about new continuity, that's where they've shined.
Yeah.
I heard Nero was okay. I haven't read it yet.
That's good.
And there was a Spock series, and I don't know if it was any good. But making Nero interesting is not hard. All you got to do is give him a little bit of screen time. So if his name's on the book, it's probably better than what he got in the movie.
True.
And then Countdown was brilliant. I know there's people who don't like Countdown. I'm in the camp that thinks it's great. So there you go.
Yeah. See, I think my thing, if you're just talking general Star Trek, I don't think enough Trek fans read comics.
I'm not sure enough Star Trek fans care about Star Trek comics.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Trek fans do read comics.
Well, yeah, but I mean the comics for Star Trek.
Yeah,
I mean,
you may be right about that. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not.
I mean,
I know none of our crew does. But
and it's not canon.
It's a very small group of people, so. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. But just as far as Trek in the whole, Trek's good. That movie made bazillions of dollars. So yeah. Which character did you identify with in each Trek series? I don't know. Identify with, because I don't really watch TV like that.
No,
necessarily.
I don't like to identify with people.
I find characters.
I like people who are different and who are. I have a certain kind of character that I like to watch, and so I watch that kind of character.
I like getting into the head of a psychology.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, getting into the psychology of a person, getting into that character's head.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if they're like me or not. You know what I mean? Like I can become another person for a while, and that's the fun part for me. To actually answer the question, I'm going to say Picard, but not that I feel like I'm a lot like Picard.
Yeah.
I identified with Picard in the sense that I wanted to be Picard. I saw Picard as a mentor, so it was more like, and I think that Picard is the thing that got me very much into Star Trek, and that's why I will always and forevermore say TNG is my favorite series. But I identified with him in the sense that I wanted to be him. He was like a father figure for me, if that makes any sense. So.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I think he was for a lot of people.
Yeah. See, I really. He's not my favorite character out of everybody, but I really like to see how Spock handles certain situations. I think the Vulcan stoicism is a really cool concept, with just the pure logic. And I think they take it too far in some episodes to the point of ridiculousness, but Well, just where, like Galileo 7, where they're pitting, pure logic versus pure human emotion, and sometimes that just doesn't work. Mm-hmm. But in most episodes where they're not focusing on it, it's really interesting.
And finally, this last question, still David22, he says, which stories in Star Trek as a franchise best represent the ideals of Star Trek for you? That's tough. Wow. I don't know, the first thing I think is just giant Prime Directive episodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the episodes that are most about the idea of Trek. I'm going to point to stuff like Who Watches the Watchers? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I'm going to go kind of TOS on this, but I'm going to say Who Watches the Watchers, and I'm also going to say is it The Chase? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The one where they're looking for, or they're going after the DNA that
all
the planets.
And then they find out that that one race spread DNA all over the universe and made a bunch of humanoids to see if they would get along, mm-hmm. and that kind of thing. And then like I think that really that is an episode that more than a lot of others, because it's also about the mythos of Star Trek, really embodies the diversity idea that Trek has. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think you could also just go to episodes that embody the ideals of the Federation, like the Drumhead.
Drumhead's a great example.
A philosophical discovery of who is the Federation and what do they stand for.
Sure.
And you have this kind of witch hunt, and then it comes down to the end where Picard's just, is this really what we are? And what do we stand for?
How about Tapestry?
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, I'm sorry, I said Tapestry. I meant to say Inner Light. Inner Light.
I thought that's where you were going.
Isn't that weird that we did that? I didn't mean to say Tapestry, although to a degree, sure. But Inner Light, because Inner Light is about universal discovery and self-discovery at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's very much what Trek is about. I guess we're only naming TNG episodes, but
yeah, we could go other places.
We could, but we're kind of out of time. But I don't know. Those are some big ones.
Yeah.
For me. Well, hey, thanks a lot for watching Ask the Treksperts. Thanks for asking questions for the multi-topic extravaganza. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any ideas for something we might talk about later on for a future video, I'm sure a couple of these will turn into expanded videos. Thanks a lot for that. If you also have any ideas for us to do episode reviews later on, episodes you want us to review, leave those in the comments as well. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Sarah.
And we'll see you next time.
The best is yet to come.